was not easy, and I know some others have even tougher experiences, but I don't wish this to any mother anywhere in the world. Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Marga, and I'm a migrant mother living in Germany. My channel is filled with information, helpful information for expat, foreigner, migrant, international parents living in Germany. So follow me to feel more empowered. This video, it's not exactly informative, but I believe it could be very helpful for other expecting mothers in Germany or mothers that just gave birth in Germany to hear my experience giving birth in Germany. This is not an easy topic to talk about for me. It was 7 years ago when I first gave birth in Germany, and it took me 1 year to talk about that without getting emotional all the time, and it took me another year to really understand what happened. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. I've done this Geburtsvorbereitungskurs, these prepartum courses, and I learned a lot. And I always recommend all pregnant women in Germany, if they're having a child for the first time, to do this, because it is much, or at least the one I did, but I believe they're all very similar. It was mainly about information. And even if we know more or less, because we heard a lot of experiences on giving birth back home, so we know how it happens usually in our countries, it may be that in Germany it's different, or people talk different about the same topics. So it's interesting to go there to understand exactly some details on how it happens in Germany. Also, you get to meet other moms, other expecting moms, usually near where you live. So your kids will be more or less the same age. So it's nice to go there. I went to this course and I read also. Some information was in English, some information was in my mother tongue, Portuguese, and not that much in German about giving birth, but a little bit. It all started in a really warm night. There were nearly 40 degrees Celsius, and I started to have some stomach ache. And I don't know, it was past the due date, but somehow I thought it's not that yet. But it was. The pain got stronger and stronger. We should not go directly to the hospital, especially for the firstborn, because it takes more time to dilatate. But at some point we went there. In the hospital, I did an ultrasound and a cardiotocography, CTG, I think in English is the same acronym, and everything was fine. The midwife was really nice and calmer. She transmitted so much calm that was really very nice experience with that specific midwife. But at some point she said, okay, let's try this and that, and if you still want to get an epidural, you tell me, but let's try some things before that. And I felt a bit like, okay, she doesn't want to give me it right away. But my thought was always, I will get an epidural. Actually, I think this happened to me because in Portugal, it's really common to get an epidural. Almost everybody in my generation that I know got epidural. Not everybody, but almost all. From my experience, that's the normal, you know. And my mindset was already to get an epidural. And she was kind of pushing me to other methods. But at some point, the pain got stronger, you know, it's normal, it's a birth, it gets stronger until it ends. I said to my husband, call her, I want an epidural. And then came the anesthetist. The anesthetist had to insert this needle to my spine to get epidural. This is normal. But the moment she put it the first time, I was seated like this, and then the right leg did a push like this, and this scared me a bit. I don't know how often this happens, but it happened to me, and it's not like, I don't know, it feels like a little bit that the doctor doesn't have it under control. But this is just my sense. Actually, I didn't check if this is statistically very common or not. Maybe some of you that understand about anesthesia or are anesthetists can tell me what exactly happened. Or I have an idea what happened, but if this is common or not. But the second time it worked. The problem is, it worked in the sense that I didn't have any involuntary movement. But at the same time, it helped me not to feel pain just in one side of my body. So the other side was feeling the pain anyways, but was also feeling the baby, which I understood later that it's actually helpful for the whole birth experience. And then there were the contractions, and I had to push, and the midwife was helping me. But what I felt, now that I have the experience also from the second, having a second birth, what I felt was like I was letting them tell me when to push. And I'd say it, I could have tried to understand better and feel better my body, and then I knew when to push, you know. But this was something, I was scared, you know. I just wanted to do everything right. And this person that works with pregnant women and delivers births for a living was telling me when to do and what to do when. I thought, okay, she knows it better. But she was not inside me, so she could not feel what I was feeling. But okay, at some point, the baby was, they could see the head of the baby, but was not coming out. So they called the doctor, and the doctor decided that she had to use a ventouse. If you don't know what is a ventouse is an instrument that uses vacuum to pull the baby out. And I didn't know this at the time also. Usually, even if it's not always necessary, and I really believe that in my case was not necessary, they asked me, since we are going to use the ventouse, I'm going to do a episiotomy. Episiotomy, it's a little cut on the passage so the baby has more space to come out. And at the time, you know, there was their midwife, there was their doctor. I trusted everybody. Later, I became to understand that that was not extremely necessary, even if you are using a ventouse. But it was done. The baby came out. And now it started the traumatic phase, at least for me, from my birth experience. The baby came out and he was crying. And they put the baby on me, and he didn't stop. He was a boy. They did all these Apgar tests and everything was fine, but he continued crying. They aspirate liquid from his lungs, but the baby didn't stop crying. So they took him to another room. It was right beside my room, to measure his oxygen, and everything was fine. They could not find anything that was wrong with the baby, but he continued crying. So there was a pediatrician there, and he decided to give antibiotics to my newborn, just to avoid any type of infection. And I understand he's doing everything in his power to protect this baby and his health. But, and this happens a little bit everywhere around the world, there are some unnecessary interventions. And from my point of view, and after talking to other gynecologists and also some pediatricians, this was a little bit too much. It was not necessary. Anyways, I could not go to this other room, so of course I told my husband, you go with him. And I was alone in the room, and the baby was not back to me. So they put him in an incubator. Because of the antibiotics, he was being monitored, so we had a lot of cables, you know, a bit everywhere. We decided to give birth to our baby in this specific hospital. That is not a big hospital, but since we, in Germany, you stay 3 days in the hospital after giving birth, it is a bit more home environment than a real big hospital. So we decided to go there, but it didn't have this NICU, this intensive care for newborns. But we were near the big hospital in Heidelberg, and we knew they had a collaboration. But on that day, and I heard this happen also many times, the intensive care was full in the Heidelberg University Hospital. So they called the next city near, which is Mannheim, and Mannheim was also full. So they called the next city. And the next city was Ludwigshafen, which was 40 minutes drive, 27 kilometers away. I didn't know, I just wanted the best for my baby, and I was still trusting on everything that was happening there, and trusting that all health professionals were doing their best, and I still believe they did their best. They had my child in this incubator with all the cables, and they told me, now you have to say goodbye to your child. So I was still on that bed, you know. I just gave birth. They had to put me in a wheelchair to go there, and this was tough. Sorry. This was really, this was almost 7 years ago. See, was not easy, and I know some others have even tougher experiences, but I don't wish this to any mother anywhere in the world. They were there, the ambulance workers that would transport our baby to the other hospital, and there were two, and I told them, my husband is coming with you, and they said, no, there is no space because we are two, and the incubator, the baby, takes a lot of space in the ambulance. We don't have space for anybody else to come. And this was again like, what the hell, I just gave birth. My baby is being transported to another hospital almost 30 kilometers from here, and I cannot go because I can't, and my husband can also not go with them or with him. And this shocked me. I was like, okay, it's just, you know, started small, and then it was one thing after the other. I went back to the room, and it came a doctor, and she said she was the Oberärztin, and she said that she called Ludwigshafen, and they could not have me there because they didn't have space for me. They just had space for my baby. And I was like, okay, now I have to stay here because they don't allow me to go, or they tell me that I should stay at least 3 days in the hospital to recover, and my baby's going to another city. It was really not easy. In the middle of all of this, the room where I was really big, and both my husband and my mother were allowed in the room, so they were there for me. Especially my mother saw all of this happen. Even if she doesn't understand any German, she was, you know, feeling it with me. It was nice to have her there. I didn't know that talking about this almost 7 years ago would bring me to live it this intensively all over again. Yeah, but I was wrong. Having her there was really nice, but she also, to say, she was feeling how harsh this was and how traumatic this was starting to be, you know, to become a mother in Germany. I think the same situation, if I would live the same situation in Portugal, would be also very traumatic, but I could express and understand everything a bit faster, you know, express myself and understand everything a little bit faster. Okay, so after this, I had lunch there, and then came another doctor, and she said, I am the Oberärztin. So right now I was like confused. In the end, who is the Oberärztin? You know, Oberärztin, I think, should be, I don't know, the boss of the doctors or something like that. And I called Ludwigshafen, and they have a place for you there. And I was like, wow, such a good news. But then they told me, okay, you just have to finish lunch, pack your things and go. But they didn't have any proper transport for me. So my father drove me there, and I could not properly sit. So I was kind of in our car in the back, seated like to the side. And that's how I got to the hospital in Ludwigshafen. Me and my husband, we were a bit afraid that they swap babies. So I was really looking forward to get into that NICU and see my baby. And I could have this feeling, no, this is my baby. And I had that. I had totally that, this is my baby. I know this is the baby that came out of my belly. They taught me how to clean him, to change a diaper inside the incubator. And the nurses were nice. But they start feeding him formula, so artificial milk. And I really wanted to breastfeed. But I was like, I just want my baby to be safe and healthy, and I want to get out of here. So I just wanted them to do whatever they needed to do for us to get out of there. I didn't want to impose, anything. I just wanted to make it easier for them so we can leave the hospital as soon as possible. But they told me that he has to stay at least 3 days. So I knew, okay, at least 3 days we are here, but I want everything to go smoothly, so I'm not saying anything. But on the same day, later, a nurse asked me, don't you want to breastfeed? And I said, yes, I really want to breastfeed. Okay, so maybe we can do it. It was my first time. I was really nervous, and she told me, you are going to breastfeed him, but I'm going to wait him before you breastfeed, and I'm going to wait it in the end. And if he's not getting anything, I'm going to give him the artificial milk. And I was like, what a pressure, I just became a mother. I felt like I went through health and came back a little bit. And now they are measuring to the gram how much milk I am allowed, or my son is going to get from me. Wow, this was tough. The breastfeeding experience with my firstborn was really nice. Like, everything went well, but the first time, I was not sure if he was drinking anything. It's weird. I've never breastfed before. It's weird, the feeling. And but then she was supporting me. She said, "No, I think he's drinking. I think he's getting some milk and so on." And that was nice. And then she waited him. The beginning and then in the end again, and he gained some grams. So she said, no need for artificial milk. And from that moment on, I was always breastfeeding. I went there to visit him when I wanted. Didn't stay for huge periods of time, but I stayed like, I don't know, at least 40 minutes or so sitting with him on my lap. Then I went to my bed to rest a little bit. And the Frauenabteilung, Frauenklinik, was really near the NICU. So I just walked, I don't know, maybe for not 2 minutes, and I was there, It was just like, you have to take everything out, to clean your hands, to put everything in a plastic bag, and so on. It was, we had to be careful also because there were many babies there. I think in the end of the second day, they told me that it looks like my baby is getting jaundice. And if it is at certain levels, he has to stay there to get some ultraviolet treatment. And I was like, no, I want to go. I was like so eager to come home and finally relax with my baby at home. But that didn't happen. And in the end, in the third day, he could go. But he had some levels of jaundice. I had to make an appointment with the Kinderarzt to see how the jaundice was developing. And we did. But the Kinderarzt, the pediatrician that we chose, was on vacation, so we had to go to the substitute. And we made an appointment. And we arrived some minutes later. I just gave birth like 4 or 5 days ago, and I was running with my baby on the baby car seat carrier to go there. And then I arrived there, and the secretary told me, oh, I thought you're not coming anymore because the time is already gone and you cannot do the exam anymore. My mother was with me, and at that moment I start crying like a river. It was, what is this? I cannot stand this anymore. We were some minutes late. I guess like 6-7 minutes, was not 10 yet. And then my mother looked to me and she started crying again. And we were both crying in the doctor's office. And the woman was like, oh, I'm sorry. You know how direct and practical Germans are. But since we came already with so much baggage, and it was just too much. It was just too much. And then she said, okay, I'll talk to the doctor and ask if he can still see your baby and take blood, because I had to take blood to test. He did it in the end. and he was really nice, this pediatrician. We went home. We were monitored by the midwife, which I love. I love how midwives support after giving birth mothers here in Germany. If you want to know more about that, check this video that I've done just about what a midwife does after giving birth. And every day was a bit better. There were a lot of lessons learned from the first child to the second. So what we did to the second child was we went to the big hospital. I don't care if it's a hospital environment. I just want to have all the care possible that my baby would need, or even me. It's there in one place and nobody has to go anywhere. And actually it happened, not the same, but something very similar. And when our second-born was born, the midwife had to run to the intensive care, left her there with the pediatricians, and she was on observation for more or less 1.5 hours. But we were calm because we were in a place where they could give her the best possible care. We could not choose a better place to go. The midwife experience was also good. Was not that warm heart like the first one, but she was also very calm and supporting. The doctor was really nice, and it was a totally different experience from the firstborn. I hope my experience gives you some information of how a delivery can work in Germany. If you have further questions, let me know here on the comments, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye!